This episode of Distraction is sponsored by Omega Bright CBD. Formulated by Omega Bright Wellness, creators of the #1 omega-3 supplements for the past 20 years. Omega Bright CBD, safe, third-party tested, and it works. Shop online at omegabrightwellness.com. This is Dr. Ned Hallowell with a mini episode of Distraction. Today I'm having a conversation with my great and dear friend Dr. Ken Duckworth, who is the medical director of NAMI, the National Alliance of Mentally Ill, and former commissioner of mental health in Massachusetts, and an all-around wonderful man, psychiatrist, father, and just superb human being. And we got to talking about why people wear or don't wear masks. I hope you'll find this interesting because I think we make a few points that are not exactly what you'd expect. But if only people would play by the rules of the game. I mean, this country, we lag so far behind Europe in controlling it. We could control it if everyone would wear masks, wash their hands, and keep the distance. I mean, it's what is it about Americans that they're so stubborn that some people say it's my personal right not to wear a mask?
Ned, this is such a fun question because I majored in political science, as I mentioned, and no one ever asks me a political science question. So I think my answer would be that America was grown up on distrust of government. Uh-huh. You go back to the American Revolution, right? Yeah. The king, control, government, right? The three branches of government. The idea that people were inherently corruptible and that if you gave one person too much power, so you had to have the three branches. So in Europe, people like the government. Per square inch, they give more money to it than we do. They trust the government. They give everyone health insurance. College is pretty cheap in most of the countries. Not in every country, but it is a different orientation. And we also just have this long-standing concern, which I think Ronald Reagan articulated, that government is the problem, right? I mean, I'm not sure that the French have ever gone that far. I mean, maybe since the French Revolution, 1789. But I think, in general, I don't think there's this inherent distrust. And, of course, when your leader says don't wear a mask, right? And a quarter of Americans, genuinely follow what the leader says, plus or minus. That's a lot. That's millions and millions of people. Yeah. We're like, we're not buying this. Yeah.
Well, there's another strain, like you say, we were born and bred to mistrust government, and we were born and bred as revolutionaries. But there's another big strain in the American grain, I think, that contributes to this, which is intense anti-intellectualism.
Ah, yes. Yes. That's a subject I know less about. But I think this whole idea that scientists or elitists, right? Right. The overeducated. Right. Science gets to bat last, and this is going to be true in the pandemic. It's going to be true in climate change. Yeah. You can't really argue science. Exactly. And I'm unfortunately concerned about our ability to integrate scientific information. And I do think people should have the freedom to not wear a mask when they're hiking in the woods or on a beach. Exactly. Right? I think that's fine.
Just when you're not around other people.
Your little coffee shop,
right? And
there's 18 square feet,
right?
It would seem to be a perilous freedom to pursue. But obviously, I'm a doctor.
No, but I mean, the Europeans get it and we don't. So I think you put your finger on the mistrust of government and the anti-intellectual strain equals people dying. I mean, it's high stakes poker.
And, it's quite high stakes. And that's a interesting thing that I'd like to understand better, how people think about that. Yeah. Because to me, that's a terrible price to pay for a transitory, quote, freedom, end quote.
Yeah, right? Exactly. I mean, it's stupid is what it is. I mean,
I have a daughter who lived in Madrid for this whole pandemic. And I said, Claire, I can fly you home if you want to be here. And she says, well, I think America's looking just as bad as Spain is, and this is in March when Madrid was the hotspot, right?
Uh-huh.
Now superseded by Florida, perhaps. And what's interesting is she didn't leave that apartment for 100 days or 90 days, something like that. She literally didn't leave the apartment. And she went out once to take out the trash, and a policeman accosted her and said, "You are not to be out of your apartment except to go to the store. Are you going to the store?" She said, "No, I'm taking the trash out." I'm like, okay, fine. And she reported to me that she had a friend who took an Uber to see a friend and was fined €1,000. So I think they have a different interpretation of sort of the public good versus individual freedom.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it at that, right? I think they've come to some different conclusions about how society functions.
Yeah, yeah. Well, did you like that? I think Ken Duckworth is just one of the best guys in the world. In fact, I know he is. And I hope you found that discussion interesting. It is funny why it's hard to get Americans to do things that even are in their best interests. If only we would all wear masks. But it's hard to get us as a nation to get on board and do what we're supposed to do. Okay, that's it for now. This is Dr. Ned Hallowell for Distraction. Be well and take care. And remember to check out our sponsor. They help us stay on the air, So check out our sponsor, Omega Bright CBD. That's OmegaBrite, intentionally misspelled, CBD. I've been taking it for a little over 3 months now, and I highly recommend it. It's good for mood and cuts down on impatience and reactivity. Omega Bright CBD is safe, third-party tested, and it works. And if you go to OmegaBrightWellness.com and use the promo code PODCAST2020, you'll get 20% off of your first order. Please reach out to us, connect@distractionpodcast.com. Distraction is created by Sounds Great Media. Our producer is the always reliable and always delightful Sarah Guertin. And our recording engineer and editor as well, is the very multi-talented and very socially engaging Scott Persson. The episode you just heard was sponsored by Omega Bright CBD, formulated by Omega Bright Wellness, creators of the #1 omega-3 supplements for the past 20 years. Omega Bright CBD, safe, third-party tested, and it works. Shop online at OmegaBrightWellness.com.